Hey guys, let's get that sound check done. I have a special guest in the studio. I'm going to introduce her in a few minutes after I get these announcements done. See how this scroll to the bottom of my epic. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Squirrel Sniper. Thank you, moderators, for being there. Any of those moderators that did not get a moderator package, I know we have 2 or 3 packages just sitting there. And I understand Delta Dawn, why her packages, she went AWOL. I believe that she went on a retreat way out in the wilderness. And well, we have other moderators. Almost all the moderators got the packages, but I don't know. We may be missing a couple. All right. I'm very excited about this guest because I'm a dog lover. And you guys know 3 of my dogs are rescue dogs. I have 5 dogs. The 2 that are not rescue dogs are the puppies from one of my rescue dogs. So I've showed you my dogs on previous videos. It's we as humans, we connect with our pets, and there's a deep connection there. It can't be denied. But as far as announcements go, last night I knew it was going to be fast. And you're going to have to. This isn't something you're going to be able to sit on. But Virginia Beach was so successful, and the people were so receptive. And those who went to Virginia Beach, in the comment section, you can go ahead and say it too. Or in the comment section after the video, because I didn't give you guys a lot of notice. So there's not going to be a lot of, we're probably not going to get, 1,800 in the chat today like we normally do. It's, everybody will be watching it in retrospect. But that's cool. Didn't give a lot of notice. But I gave an office presentation, and I explained basically what's happening. And in Houston, right here in my own backyard, we're going to do a meetup in the same room, the Maple Room. We're going to do it in the same room that we did the 3 previous Houston meetups. We've already secured the venue. December 7th. As soon as that was launched last night, we already started selling tickets. I already knew that was going to happen. Seating is limited. Once we hit that cap, we're done. We can't accept anymore. So the whole entire presentation will be done by me, and I'm going to go through exactly what is happening to us on a daily basis. This sync between the psyche and the simulation, and how, once we understand this interface, how we can use what's going on around us to our advantage to literally create new conditions for tomorrow. That's the whole meetup. That's what we're talking about. And we're going to be pulling Office out and looking on the wall, a projector connected to my laptop on the wall, where I will show you in real time as the audience asks me questions about anything that they want to know about. You bring your stocks material, you bring your silver markets material, you bring your personal dates when things happen to you in the past. I don't care what it is you bring. But for the attendance, I will be running the Office software and showing it on the screen, showing the output in real time, and I will be telling you actionable information about very specific dates in the future when you need to act. And it always depends on what you introduced as the X factors for me to be able to know what you're supposed to do on those dates. Many people can give you advice about what to do about future activities. But so far, I believe that I've written the only software that can actually tell you when to do it. So that's what we're going to do. I'm very excited about that and a whole slew of videos that are about to come out. But you guys need to be introduced to Candice Elise. Elisa, I believe, or Elise. She's going to correct me real quick, I'm pretty sure.
Hi there.
How you doing, Candice?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Pretty good. It's I know there's a lot of people in my community that you instantly capture their attention when you start talking about dog rescue. I got a lot of people. I got a lot of animal lovers in the Archaix community for sure.
Love to hear it. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, your audio is very good. Yeah, let's see. I'm just equalizing my audio a little bit. All right. Oh, so Candice, I know we've been in communication for a little while. So how about, let's see, I'm gonna remove this from the studio. There we go. How about you basically just tell my community, who you are, where you're coming from, the person that you were, and the trajectory of your life before you suddenly, or gradually just began doing what you do now, with not just the dog rescue, but trying to stop as much euthanasia as possible. Who were you then before you became the person you are today, and prior to your discovery of the Archaix material?
Sure. Well, I've always been a dog lover and an animal lover, and I've always had what I felt was some kind of special connection to animals. And I basically found you because I was in a crossroads in my life. I used to do, well, I have a normal job during the day. I still do the dog rescue on top of full-time work. And I am in the medical sales field. And I lived in Chicago for my whole life. I moved out to Phoenix in 2020. I always had a desire to help and save people prior to animals. And I think I kind of had that shift during COVID. I was putting out a lot of information. I'm a big researcher, and I was putting out a lot of information pertaining to health and wellness. I had been researching, I don't want to say the word on the show, but that pokey thing. So I had been researching those for about 10 years. I'm not a fan of conventional medicine. I know it sounds funny that I'm in medical sales, but I'm in a different kind of medical sales. I sell devices to plastic surgeons, dermatologists to better the skin,
Right.
sort of thing. So I'm not in the conventional medicine arena per se. But during COVID, I put out a lot of videos and started to bring awareness to people because it was really on my heart to wake people up. And one thing I noticed is there was a community of people who wanted to be woken up, but there was also a large community of people who just didn't want to be woken up. They enjoy where they're at in their life, and they don't want to know the truth. And so I had a few videos that I had put out with quite a few views. 3 of them went over 1 million views, and I started to be concerned for my own safety, because one of the videos I was talking about a gal who worked for a pharmaceutical company, and she was actually intimidated because she was exposing them. And it was a documentary that she did on herself, exposing the pharmaceutical company. And she put on her Facebook and all of her social media accounts the week before that she didn't do drugs. She was not going to kill herself. She didn't battle depression because she felt that something was going to happen, and a week later she was gone. So I had basically did a video on this gal that what we believe was taken out, and it went so viral that I started to worry about my own safety. And so I also got a lot of backlash from people during COVID, as you can imagine, putting out the information that I did. So very controversial. And I just got to the point that I wanted to focus on animals, because I do believe a lot of people don't want to be saved, but animals do. Yeah. So I've always had rescue dogs. I have a heart for the pitties. Pit bull is not the real name, American Staffordshire. I do have a heart for them, and I will take in any dog that needs help, and I will help and support any dog. But I do have a heart for the pitties because I think they're extremely misunderstood. I resonate with them. They are a majority of the shelters, even though we are now seeing so many breeds. Right now we have Great Danes and Golden Retrievers and Pugs and Pomeranians, and we're seeing every type of breed now. But the pitties have been a majority in the shelters for a long time, and they are so used and abused and judged and misunderstood, that they're my passion and my love. I find that particular breed to be one of the most loving and loyal breeds on the planet.
Yes,
And that humans could learn a lot from the pitties, the pit bulls, because they are just so vilified, and the media has created stories around them. And I mean, yes, can they do damage? Yes. But I've also seen damage from a golden doodle, and I've seen damage from a golden retriever. It's a very small percentage of what people hate them for. I mean, most of the dogs that are like that don't make it to be the adopted at the shelter, because they are all evaluated. So if a dog does come in and it has that temperament, it's usually not going to be available. But I have been working with the shelters and volunteering for many, many years. And I've been around so many of that particular breed and all the breeds. And once you get them out of there, even if they don't present well at the shelter and they're losing their mind in the kennel because they haven't gotten out for 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, especially here in Phoenix. Sometimes the dogs don't get out of their kennels for weeks at a time, so they're not going to present well. But once you get them out to that play lot and then into your home, they're completely different animals. They're a completely different animal. So I do have that.
You made a comment. You made a comment, and that it needs to be addressed before I let you continue, because it is so deep. The gravity of your statement, it's so deep that it actually just grew on me as you kept talking, and I couldn't focus on what you were saying any further. You said a lot of people don't want to be rescued, but animals do. Listen, that is a very profound observation, because you're right. I call this dungeon programming. There's a huge body politic of the human species that thrive on being victims. And this is what they want to be, even though they have the ability to transcend that and move beyond that. They want to be a victim of these industries. They want to be a victim of this cultural programming. They want to be a victim of that political party. They want to be a victim of someone personal in their life. We can remove all the specifics and just get to the core fundamentals. Victim programming affects the field immensely, but you don't get that from animals. There's not a single animal that wants to be a victim. That's a deep, profound observation.
And I just to add to that, I think that's one of the reasons that I am drawn to the pit bull breed, the American Staffordshire breed, is because they are so abused and misunderstood. And I always say to people who have this hate for them, or I have 3 of them in my home right now that I've saved, all from moments away from being euthanized. All 3 of them were abused. They were all traumatized. They didn't fight back. They don't. I always say to people, if they're such vicious, if they're as vicious as you say they are, why didn't they defend themselves to their abuser?
Yeah.
Because there are so many of them that are abused. And, you know, I had one here I had to put down 2 weeks ago. We only had her for a day. I saw that she was in her kennel at the shelter, and she was crawling on her belly, and she wasn't eating. She wasn't standing up. She wasn't walking. And the shelter's no condition for a dog that's sick. They don't have proper veterinarian care at the shelter, and she was dying in her kennel. And so we got her out. We got her to a vet to properly assess. But she was just too far gone, and she had been so overbred that her uterus was extended. She never knew love. This dog never knew love. And the people that found her, that claim they found her, that brought her to the shelter, they said they left her in their yard for 3 weeks in the July heat of Arizona. So even when she was here at my house, she was just so loved. She was so grateful to be in the house, and she wouldn't stop giving me kisses. And we got In-N-Out burger, and I got her goat milk, and I was feeding her raw food and just gave her love. And she just put her head on my shoulder and just wouldn't stop kissing me. And even when the vet came here to put her down, she was laying in my arms. And just before he gave her the second shot that was going to stop her heart, she sat up and she kissed my whole face. And she had been here for 1 day. And it was like she knew in that 1 day more love than she had received in 10 years. And it destroyed me. Sorry, I didn't want to get emotional on the show. It's just a picture of what this breed goes through, and so many other dogs, not just pit bulls, but they're all abandoned. There's so many of them that are abandoned and failed. And I see every day at the shelter dogs that are 9, 10, 11 years old being dumped. And at least they're being brought to the shelter, because we see them on the side of the road all the time also. I mean, we're constantly picking up dogs. There's big dumping grounds here, as I'm sure there is by you in Texas. The reservations are here, the Indian reservations, people that dump all the time. I had another pair of dogs 4 weeks ago. They were a bonded pair, and they had been at the shelter for a really long time. And we always worry that they're going to be separated if they're bonded. And I said, I gotta bring them home. And it was a Pitty and a Rottie. And they were the shelter said they were 7 years old and 9 years old. Well, it turns out the Rottie was like 3, but they were and the person who had them, she had adopted them 2 years before from the shelter because it was on record. And then she tried to bring them to the Rottie rescue and said, if you don't take them, I'm going to shoot them. And the Rottie rescue said, we're full, everybody's full. Everyone's at capacity right now. And because I knew the gal who ran the Rottie rescue. And she said, this is what this woman said. And so she took them to the mountain and she dumped them. She at the South Mountain in Phoenix, and it's another big dumping ground. And animal control thankfully picked them up, because a lot of dogs don't make it. They get eaten by the coyotes, or the heat. And this particular bonded pair that were amazing. The reason she wanted to give them up is because they kissed too much. They're on their videos on my Instagram in the highlight. They were so in love with each other. But I think they were a support system because they were so abused. And I got them here, and I couldn't believe how amazing they were. I mean, these dogs were absolutely amazing, but there's so many bonded pairs at the shelter that people will come in and separate. I mean, there's 1,000 dogs there. Why do you need the two? Why do you need one of the two that are bonded? But it's hard to find a home for two, for one, much less two together. So all these dogs that I brought in my house and fostered and have cared for, that have been cast off and forgotten about and abused, they're amazing, and they appreciate the love. And I think that's something that just speaks so much to my heart, is that they're so grateful. I mean, all 3 of my dogs are laying around me right now. And if I get up and walk to the bathroom, they're all coming to the bathroom with me. So they know when you save them. This little boy that I had since last week, I saw him at the shelter. He was completely shut down. His notes said, because they have all the animal control notes, that they found him in a drain. Terrified, shaking in a drain. They had to snare him, which is, that what the snare is, that pole and they had to pull him up onto and they do a lot of damage with that also, but they had to pull him up on the truck with the snare. And he was so shut down, full of fear, terrified, shaking in his kennel at the shelter. He wouldn't eat. His note said he hadn't eaten for days, didn't drink. He wouldn't get up. The volunteers would come in and try to leash him up and take him out. He would just pancake to the ground. He was so terrified. So I went and got him, and they had to carry him out on a stretcher to my car because he wouldn't walk. And in 1 week, that's another I have on my Instagram, the highlight of the transition of the first day he was at my house. 4 days later, he's walking up at the canal with me. He wouldn't walk in the house. I don't think he was ever allowed in the house. And I have footage of where he's just putting one paw in, and then he turns around and runs away and whines. And he's now at my feet. And in 1 week, this dog is incredible. Not only is he beautiful and gorgeous coat, but he is so loving and so grateful. And he just snuggles up on me, puts his head on me. And it's rewarding to do that. But where my pain and suffering comes is when I'm at the shelter a lot. And I've actually, I took a break this week because I didn't want to be super emotional on your show. I get it. Why I had originally reached out to you for some advice and guidance on how to navigate these waters is the suffering that I see in the shelters is incredible. And I'm one person, I can't save them all. And everyone that I work with in other rescue foundations and the volunteers, there's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people know about. The volunteers are incredible, and they take the footage to network these dogs And then social media is a big part of finding fosters and finding adopters, and the rescues focus on the euthanasia list. So it's a double-edged sword, because the long timers don't get seen. They only get seen by the public. The rescues focus on the euthanasia list majority of the time. So, but the suffering I see is because there'll be a stray hold. They'll find a dog. They'll have him on a 72-hour stray hold. And then after he's available to go on the portal for adoption, they're so short-staffed, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I believe I've uncovered some corruption. These dogs will sit for weeks waiting to be evaluated, which means they can't come out of the kennel. So, I mean, then they get evaluated after not being able to leave the kennel for 3, 4. I mean, we even had some dogs a couple of weeks ago that were on 5 weeks waiting to be evaluated. And then they're not going to present well. So then they're going to they get e-listed, they get euthanasia listed right away because they're not presenting well, or they're terrified, or they're scared because they're, for every reason. And the sadness, I walk through there and they just are all begging to get out, because even the volunteers can't keep up. They have 1,000 dogs. This is just our local shelter. This is nationwide. There's a nationwide crisis going on, but our local shelter has.
I want to address that too, because I know you have some questions, and there are Archaix related concerning dogs and other things. I know we briefly discussed before the show, but it's extremely sad. And what I'm about to say right now is going to disturb a lot of people, but it needs to be said to provide context. America has this problem. Canada has this problem. There may be some European countries that also have this problem as well. The reason this isn't a problem in most other areas of the world, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and especially the Far East, is because here in the West, we do not eat our pets. Here in the West, we do not make meals of canines and felines. But this is a very real reality to other parts of the world. They don't have these animal shelters. There would be no reason for an animal shelter in those areas of the world, because they don't regard these type of animals, dogs, as pets. They use them for utility. A lot of people in the Chinese countryside, if they have a dog, that dog is strictly basically to provide bark support. It's an alarm system if anybody comes too close to the property. It's this how we treat dogs and cats in the Western world is because our lifestyle is amenable to treating them as pets, and to entering into a relationship with something that's not human, and it's a commiserate relationship. We get biofeedback from our pets and our animals. They're emotional beings. They're spiritual beings, no different than we are. But I just wanted to bring some clarity, context, why this is an issue for the West when it's really not an issue for the East, because they don't have that problem, because they're literally consuming these animals.
Yeah, that's disturbing. Yeah, I can't even think about that. But as far as my, when I reached out to you, because I had found your show and started listening to it, because I was putting out my videos and I was following a lot of like truther accounts on Instagram, and I love reading comments, because there's a lot of really smart people out there. And so when I see a post and I'm watching the post, I also like to read what others have written. And someone said, you really need to on this page, to this person, you need to check out the channel Archaix. And they said, your mind will be blown. There was another channel as well. I don't remember what it was. And so I checked that one out first and I didn't love it. And then I came to yours and I was like, what? I mean, it's so funny because I didn't know where to begin. I remember going to your website and I was like, where do you start? And I just literally felt like I was just diving in the middle of the ocean and just trying to swim, because I found a couple of your teachings and I had no idea what you were talking about, but they were resonating with me. And I was like, I have no choice but to go deeper here. My biggest fear was that I never wanted to believe, I was in Christianity also, and I wasn't raised with it like you were, but I did seek it out later in life, trying to find answers for some things that had happened to me. And I ended up diving in hard, both feet. 10, 12 years I gave to the church. I did mission trips overseas. I was teaching, teaching and preaching the gospel in Russia with translators, and going to orphanages in Romania, and, doing all of that. And I spent my whole life in the church. It's very protected. You don't really know about the evils that are going on in the world when you're spending every day in church and singing, and everything's so great. But it never sat well with me. A lot of the teachings of the Bible, like there were things that were contradictory. I would have questions. There was always the blanket statement, God's ways are higher than our ways. We live in a fallen world. And I just, even looking at like the animal suffering, and yes, there's suffering everywhere. There's human suffering, there's children suffering, but I'm called to the animals. And what I'm seeing, it was really hard for me to believe, the biblical story and what I was taught in the church when this was going on. And so my biggest fear was that I didn't want to believe in reincarnation. I wanted this life to be over when it was over. I didn't want to come back here. And I just wanted to go to the picture perfect heaven and have my mansion like they taught. Mm-hmm. And when I started listening to your teachings, it just unraveled me. And I went through a little bit of a depression for a few months. And I remember like talking to some people around me and saying, what do I do now? Like, what do I do with this info? I can't stop here. And I'm spiraling now because everything I've believed in and hoped for is, I was still really new. I mean, I still consider myself new to your channel, but this was 1.5 years ago. And I just had no idea what I had gotten myself into listening to you. And I believe that it didn't happen by accident, because I've always been a seeker of truth. And when I hear you teach about Nostradamus, I was listening to Nostradamus teachings at 13. I don't know. I didn't really go too far with it, but I found him and was listening. And so I think my path has always been leading up to this and to listening to you and learning about this simulation that we're in. And, but with that being said, I wrote you because the suffering that I'm seeing, you often say, we're not here to save the world. We're passing through. We're pilgrims, I think you say, pilgrims right. Passing through. And I've listened to you take the teachings of, what Jesus said and how he even pointed out that we're passing through. But the suffering, whether we're in a computer program or not, what's going on, which I believe we are, but the suffering is like nothing else I've ever experienced in my life.
Okay, well, let's discuss that. Let's isolate that before you move on to another thought. All right. So I'm going to agree with you 100% that let's see if the screen froze a little bit. Can you hear me, Candice?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, okay, you're good now. It's moving. So I'm gonna provide this illustration so everybody's on board and everybody understands exactly what I'm about to elucidate. But when it comes to a dog, a canine, and when it comes to a human, are we really fundamentally different? We have eyes, nose, mouth, we have olfactory, audio, all of our senses are the exact same. Exact same. We require to move around on limbs. They might be a quadruped, but we are when we're young and babies. But we're both mammals. We're also emotional. There is communication. We both communicate. Humans communicate, but we've been given the vocal cords necessary and the education to put thoughts into syllables, and those syllables have meaning. So dogs communicate. And it's nowhere near as diverse, but anybody who has spent time around a lot of dogs knows there's like 10 different things they can communicate with a bark, with a whine. There's different things that we can pick up and interpret that are uniform across all canine species. They can communicate with each other. It's primitive, but they do it. So the reason I'm saying this is because I teach that we're in a fallen state. I teach that this negative default programming is the setting of this entire simulated existence. And yes, I'm always telling people, you are not here to save the world. You are here to save your world. And what that means is that the constructual programming will continue whether you're here or not. It will continue whether 10 million people get together and change a temporal period. Once they're gone, it defaults back to the programming. For thousands of years in the programming, it's always been evil. In Roman times, it's always been terrible for a lot of people. It's only a minority that this is an enjoyable experience. So what I want to say is that when you reach out as a spiritual being in this flow state, this life sim you're living right now, everything you do is saving your world, because as a highly individualized soul, your world extends into every aspect of what you do. You alter the programming in the field for everything that you touch. All these animals, everybody attached to these animals, this is your world. You've done this. People that are listening right now who have just been introduced into your field and now know who you are and what you're doing, you are affecting that entire field. But in the constructual sense, it's still a tiny, minuscule amount compared to the whole. So when I say you're not here to save the world, that doesn't mean you're not supposed to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which is a spiritual teaching that is so multifaceted that people actually think that Jesus was only talking about people. Now, when we go through that judgment period, after all these life sims, some people are going to be real surprised to find out, hey, didn't you know I also created the canines and gave them spirits? Now listen to the testimony they have against you. You understand? So when you're here to save, when I say you're not here to save the world, you can't. It's an evil construct by a diabolical mind. It is a predator versus prey ecosphere. And you are educating us right now on this aspect, this terrible, heart-wrenching aspect of how canines are treated and the problem that we have. But in truth, we could actually do hundreds of videos on the poultry industry, on the beef industry, on the equine industry, on pigs and the slaughterhouses and the abject terror that we're instilling on all these animals and the processes. Listen, the processes by which we slaughter animals is also completely inhumane, because it could be done a whole lot more humanely without striking complete terror in the creatures, which also has the negative byproduct of them releasing cortisols into that meat that we eat. So yep. There are all kinds of things about this world. I could go on for hours to show that the predator versus prey ecosphere is already a deck stacked against us. So what it does is it literally illuminates people like you. And I'm not going to leave Dawn out. Dawn is an animal rescue too. She literally goes out of her way. I've watched her do this numerous times. When people are complaining about stray pets on Nextdoor, watch out. That woman's going to get in a vehicle and go find that animal and take that animal to the rescue. She has a personal relationship with a veterinarian. And she's got her on speed dial. And she gets all kinds of discounts because she's known in her environment as rescuing animals. And she has them neutered, has them spaded, has them dewormed, has them groomed, taken care of, and then she finds homes for them. So you and her are a lot alike in that vein. So when I say you're not here to save the world, I'm talking about the over construct that we're all find ourselves in, that has all these protocols, these dungeon programs. But what you're doing is saving your world. What you're doing is creating a haven for those souls that will bear testimony at a future time as to what you did when you were passing through this darkness. There are a lot of people that are only out for themselves, and they're trying to pass through this world as best they can. And then there's real treasures, people like you that it's not enough to just survive this experience. You also have to lend your energy to help all these other people. I'm a lot like that too. And Dawn is with all these pets. But everybody knows, all my friends and family, even when we're not getting along, they'll still tell you, Jason's one of those rare individuals that if you're in his circle, he's going to break his neck to take care of you and make sure everything's all right. There isn't a single person associated to me that would tell you otherwise. But this is what it's about, Candice. It's what it's about. It's what you're doing. You are literally saving your world. And there's going to be a time when you're reunited with the souls. And in that context, outside of this experience, you're going to be getting a lot of souls that were formerly in canines communicating with you their appreciation and thanks. It's going to come because everything put out comes back. And the only way that can really come back to you is when you exit the construct and when we can see souls for what they are and not the avatars that we've borrowed.
So that's beautiful. And I love to hear that. And I hope that I do, I believe that I will see them, especially Ginny, the dog that I had for 24 hours who passed in my arms, and, stories like that. And even some of the dogs I connect with at the shelters that I can't bring home. But this is the flip side of that is that it's destroying me. And I'm trying to navigate and figure out how. I can't even keep my tears back right now. It's really hard to see this kind of heartbreak on a daily basis and the suffering like this on a daily basis. And also the community that I'm in with the volunteers that are there that I'm talking off the ledge constantly. When I was in Chicago in 2018, I mean, this is way before COVID, before things got even so much more worse. I knew 2 people that took their life who were in dog rescue because you see the worst of the worst. As I know you've seen being in prison, you see the worst of the worst. But I'm seeing it on a daily basis. I'm seeing the abuse on a daily basis. I'm seeing these innocent, precious souls just so failed over and over and over again. And not only by the people, but the corruption I've uncovered with the shelter. It's destroying my relationships. It's destroying my home life. I'm even taking a few days off this week to try and just gather my emotions and my mental state prior to doing the show. I felt guilty. That there were dogs I could have saved, and I need to
address that. I need to address that before you go on to something else. Candice, what you just told my community is that it's affecting your relationships. It's affecting your field. In my presentations all throughout Archaix, I'm always telling people, whatever you do with another soul, there's an exchange of information. When you reach out into the construct and help another soul, you are literally taking on some of the negative energies that have attached to them, and they're coming to you. Now, because of the virtue of what you're doing, your field neutralizes a lot of that, but you're doing so much, I can already tell. So there's this exchange of information between souls in the field is why you're experiencing that. And it makes it absolutely necessary for you to pattern break. You have to live. You just said you already innately knew what you had to do, which was get away for a while. But in getting away, you felt that guilt. So I'm going to tell you now, there's no easy answer for that, but it's necessary when you're on the battlefield, no matter what that battlefield is. The best warriors are the ones who don't stay on the front lines all the time, but rely on their auxiliaries and step back from the fight so they can regain their bearings, so they can slow their breathing, so they can get in resonance and see what else is happening on the field of battle, so they can gather themselves. And you seem to be a frontliner. You need to get to the back of the ranks for a while and work on you. And then I'm going to tell you now, every day that passes, your spirit will be more in resonance with what you're doing. You'll build back up. And when you re-enter that field where you're exchanging information between souls, your souls and the souls of these animals, When that's happening, you'll be stronger the next time. Every pattern break makes you stronger. But if you go long periods of time without getting that pattern break, you will become debilitative and you will become of no utility to anybody.
And that's where I'm at, and why I needed to have this show with you is to get some advice on that and figure out how to navigate these waters. So I appreciate you saying that. It's I mentioned prior to the show that one of the things I had done, that I had uncovered some corruption with the shelter. I wish I could just go back to the days where it just wasn't enough adopters and fosters. But now, because I'm so, boots on the ground and knee deep, I have a relationship. My family has a relationship with one of our previous governors. And as I said, regardless of how we feel the job that he did, he had the ability to direct and guide me and had the connections to put me in front of someone. And it was the Board of Supervisors that oversees, in Phoenix, there's they have their own sovereign, or their own area that they oversee the schools, the roads, and the shelters. So the person that he put me in touch with to meet with, I wanted to discuss, the backyard breeding that's taking place, because it's out of control. The breeding is out of control, and possibly licensing breeding. And California did.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, but a lot of people in my community, they're not from the country. They don't understand what backyard breeding means.
Okay. So, so it's basically people who are breeding their dogs, and then, like, you see the signs everywhere for puppies, and they're just trying to make money, and they're breeding their dogs. But and they're called backyard breeders. They're not licensed. They're not professional breeders, and they overbreed the dog. And a lot of the dogs are inbred, and they just overbreed and overbreed. Like the dog Jenny that I had to put down at my home, she was so overbred. That she was so sick. And a lot of times they get mammary tumors and cancer in their mammary glands because they just overbreed them, because it's just they're an assembly line of profit for them. And so they sell them behind the Walmart here. They're just everywhere. There's signs. I always stop my car and take the signs down. The signs are everywhere. And so they're just, and even when they can't sell the dogs, they just dump them on the side of the road. Or, sometimes they bring them to the shelter, which is why we have golden retriever puppies right now at the shelter. But yeah. They're breeding every type, Frenchies, everybody's trying to make a buck by breeding these dogs. And it's really unfortunate, because these dogs have souls. And when you say we're in a nationwide crisis, it seems so large and you can't make a difference. Sometimes I feel like I'm not making a difference, but then I look at this little one next to me that I saved last week that was supposed to die on Tuesday, and it's everything to her, and it's everything to the three I have. And, when I think I'm not making a difference, I look at them and realize that their life matters. But so going back to meeting with this politician and getting this appointment for me, well, their office called me and they said, I was referred and they were going to meet with me, and thanked me for coming with solutions and not just complaints. But once they found out I wanted to discuss the animal welfare and what was going on at the shelters, they shut down, and I can't get in with them now. And I was telling you that, before I was in dog rescue, I did a lot of research on Freemasonry and 33rd degree Freemasons and all of that. And I've heard you talk about it in the shows, and the elitist group that it is, and how they have their tentacles and control everything. Well, one of the reasons that I personally believe that backyard breeding is not being blocked is because every single dog that comes into the shelter, whether if you lost your dog and it goes to the shelter, they're going to pokey it. They're going to give those pokies. And every dog that comes in gets him. Even if you surrender your dog and give the records, it's getting them. So that's big money for every shelter across America. And I'm thinking that these laws are being blocked for that reason. And then while I was looking at the website, I found the Freemason symbol. And then even in their symbol for that particular government of Board of Supervisors, there's the scales. And then they also have the medical, what is the snake on the pole? They have these 4 signs. And I'm like, what does that have to do with schools, roads, and animal shelters? And so I felt so defeated, because I thought, here I wanted to go in and present these ideas, and I thought they would take me seriously. And, even even had an outline of the position they could create, and it could go under agriculture. And I had done my research of all the money that was spent in Arizona and between the Humane Society and the shelters, and it was $55 million. And when I broke it down, it was really simple. I mean, the solutions are there, but they didn't want to hear it. And now I felt so defeated because I saw that Freemason symbol, and I thought, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm going to
tell you now. Listen, the solutions for almost every problem, even in the medical field, are available to us. I've had my eyes open, like in the last month, on the human body and its capabilities, and what junk food and soda waters and all this stuff actually do, and the individual chemicals and things that are put there specifically for us to consume, knowing that apart in an individual item that is consumed will have ingredients in it that don't do anything by themselves, but they're marketed to be eaten and consumed with other items that have the other ingredients that form these toxins and poisons in our body. And I have been learning about this. I've been going through it. I already knew that almost everything given to us is junk and terrible, but I didn't know that it was actually toxic and poisonous and by design. So yeah, as you know, I've changed my whole diet. I've changed my entire diet. I feel fantastic. It's amazing. I'm only on my 5th day, and it's I can imagine how. It's already a big deal. It's a huge change.
Yeah.
I already knew that my attention span is much greater than the average individual because I spent so many times just reading and writing. I would have never imagined that my focus could be increased. My ability for instant recall to find things I need when people ask me questions would have been increased, and it's already increased in 4 or 5 days. So I know that it may not have anything to do with my new diet, but it might have everything to do with the fact I'm not eating any of those things anymore.
Right.
And it's crazy. It's just crazy. So I know I don't know. I don't really understand why I just told you that. It had something relative to what you just said. But
well, health and wellness is a passion of mine also. Prior to saving dogs, I do incorporate that with the animals. My dogs will live 16, 17. I mean, what I feed, the supplements, it takes me 10 minutes in the morning to put all my supplement. My dogs are healthier than most humans. But the first thing I do when I get them from the shelter is I detox them from all the toxins that they've put into them. But just
that's what you said. That is, you just said something. I think a lot of people in my community missed it because I almost missed it. But you said that there are protocols in place that when dogs come into the shelter, they automatically get a certain shot, right?
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 different pharmas that they get.
Okay.
Immediately.
So, in your thinking that there is an agenda here to where things that can't be given directly to humans can easily be given to pets because what is being given to them will shed if those pets are adopted.
I never thought about that. That's really interesting.
Well, I mean, you got to understand, a dog is an excellent carrier mechanism for any other mammal.
Wow.
So
I never put that together.
I'm trying to see why there would be such resistance to these solutions. You provided the solutions, but they don't want to adopt them. But they do have this campaign in place to do this. I'm wondering if nationwide these facilities are actually putting things in dogs for those that are adopted.
That's interesting. I just looked at it from the financial standpoint. But veterinarian medicine it's crazy because I also see the similarities. Like I stay as far away from doctors as possible. I would not want to go near a hospital. I think they're death chambers. Unless not against someone who needs it. And I'm not criticizing anyone who has to be in the hospital, but we saw that during COVID.
Right.
Am I allowed to even say that word on here? God, you don't even know.
Yeah, you can. You can say it. Everybody's talking about it now. It's not even.
Yeah.
They're not. YouTube's not censoring like it used to censor. They're just not.
but the veterinarian medicine, like the things that they say, it's so funny because I went the holistic route and I researched holistically for the animals. And like, for instance, I give my dogs garlic every day. They get a clove. Everybody in the household gets a clove of garlic. And so one of my dogs 2 years ago was given a 30 to 90 day diagnosis. We're at 2 years right now. But I joined a bunch of groups on Facebook for holistic cancer treatments, and garlic's always in there. So, but the vet will tell you he's seen immediate organ failure and shutdown from garlic. But when you ask him why he gives the same amount in the vaccine, the same amount in the dog pokey that is for a Chihuahua as a 160-pound Great Dane, they have no answer. The vet literally said to me, "What am I going to do about it?" That's the answer, but you see organ shutdown from garlic. So, I mean, the garlic builds the immune system. I take it, the dogs take it. It's not toxic. My dogs, I've been giving it to my dogs for 10 years. So I always am researching ways to keep them healthy and keep them away from the vet as much as possible, and get the poisons out of them. I mean, even the dog food system is just as jacked up as ours. They don't even have an FDA that oversees it.
Well,
everything's evil.
All this federal oversight, what it really does is they have set templates of answers that they provide the public for almost every question that you could possibly think of. We no longer have doctors that, by virtue of original practice, can educate the public. What we have now are doctors that are going by rote procedures. They go to law school now, not to learn about the human body, but to learn all the procedures the pharmaceutical company wants them to follow for whatever's wrong with the human body. The education that the medical field gets now is the inverse of what they got in the 16, 17, and early 1800s. It's been pharmaceutical industry has been hijacked. They are literally trained, they're literally trained to deal with symptoms. The actual causes are completely ignored in the field now.
So with all that being said, I have a question. We live in this negative default evil system. What is, the people that do the abuse, like, so these animals come in, so many of them are abused. This person that's abusing this animal, I've often wondered, there's some dogs that are there that we just can't save. And sometimes they just are crazy. And I'm like, is this the soul of someone that maybe abused a dog before and now has to sit in this kennel and experience this? I mean, is it, I know you call it.
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer that. I've already discussed this on my channel before. And I'm going to answer that with belief systems that some people have. I have no experience in this, but it is the belief of some cultures that when a soul has done something against the Great Spirit, has done something against the oversoul, spider grandmother, or done something in violation against the animal kingdoms, that soul has to assume that avatar on their next incarnation, because these mammalian suits are only avatars, and the human avatar is the highest expression of the immortal soul. But it does not mean the other mammals do not have souls as well, because porpoises are as equally as intelligent or more so than we are. They just have different avatars.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was in the Caribbean, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago. The days blend. Could have been a year ago. But I was standing in the ocean, and it was we had taken a boat out, and then the kids went out tubing. They were like, 500 feet out, and so there was a little sandbar I got out in. I was standing in the ocean, and I just kind of looked up and around, and I was giving thanks and giving gratitude, and I was just thanking God, thanking source for the beauty that was around me. And I just kind of looked and I said, the only thing that would make it better is if he sent me a dolphin. And I kid you not, 4 minutes later, I have it all on video. My stepson got out with his GoPro on his wrist. They thought a shark was coming at me, so the boat came back. And I'm face to face with him, and he's swimming around me. And the boat, the guys that had the boat rental, they said, he's reading your heart rate, slow your heart rate. And he was just all about swimming around me. And then he took his head out of the water, and I was freaking out. I was like, what does he want? I was kind of nervous. And I pet him. I ran my hand across, and he kind of flipped his tail at me, but he came back around again. And it was the most beautiful experience. And it was all captured, which is even more incredible that it was on his wrist GoPro. But I thought, gosh, I had just said 3 minutes before that. The only thing that would make it better.
Let me ask you this question then. Based off the experience you just told me, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think that, you have to understand, we live in a perceived reality, not an actual reality. Do you think that Dolphin was somewhere nearby and picked up on the signals of your thought and just came over there to do all that? Or do you think that the Dolphin did not exist until you expressed that desire?
Wow, that's deep. I thought number one, the first one when you said it, was that he picked up on what was going on in me, because I obviously
I'm going to tell you now. I would love to talk about trees and butterflies and how all beautiful everything is and all that, but you know what? The more we study reality, the more we find that we're living in a quantum field of signals, and those signals ratios, they change with our thought. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you now, although this is a negative default field, there's just as much evidence that the world is being created and simulated around us to the edge of our senses to make it believable. And we're all interacting in this field together, building this world together. But when there's no one at all for miles, way out in the middle of a desert, there's more evidence that desert doesn't even exist than it actually is there. If this is truly a field of quantum sense perception, and that quantum collapse requires human observation and interaction, then that means that this field is almost empty until we experience something. So I'm going to tell you, you may think that Dolphin existed and was already in that water and all that, but I'm going to tell you that in the programming, you guys were on a boat and you saw the beautiful surface, but deep below you was an infinite field of potentia, and there's nothing down there until you go underwater with a snorkel and you look down there, and then before you're able to open your eyes, the field would have already perpetuated. It's called quantum collapse, and something would have been down there for you to either observe or not observe. There would have been plankton. There would have been all these things, but this is the world that I truly believe we live in. The only thing real here is you and I. Everything else is generated in the field from potentia as to what we expect or what we want to experience. So much death and carnage and battle and so much just treachery and nefariousness has happened in the field in the past that negative default programming is like a substrate of arithmetic that runs through the field. But it doesn't have to run through your field. Like I said, you're not here to save the world, but you can save your world. So I know these are difficult concepts for people to accept, but once you finally get it, and you realize you can be a savior of your own individual world, because everywhere you go in the construct on a daily basis, you're taking your world with you. So it's
would that apply to the dogs then also? Am I creating some of that?
Well, if there's no humans there, if there's no humans to perceive any of this, then I'm going to say yes. But there's always humans there.
Yeah, there are.
There's always humans there. So I'm also going to say that when it comes to the canines, they too are invested with a soul, with a spirit. I'm not an animist. I don't believe that Mother Earth provides these spirits just for the animals, so they can be almost like human. Now, it's life is amazing inside the construct, and we can tell when we interact with dogs. It's more than intelligence. It's more than the visceral. It's more than fight or flight. It's more than just thought processes. Animals have emotional aspects to them that can only be answered for in the spiritual. Therefore, I'm going to say that we're kindred spirits.
So I'm going to go back to the basic question like that I had from the beginning again, because I'm not sure I feel it's. Do you think that they're, in your opinion, do these animals come here to experience that suffering because of a past life and they had to go through what they're going through, like the ones that don't make it out, that have been horribly abused and traumatized? I know that you said that maybe the person who does the abusing is coming back and being reincarnated as that soul, but I mean, I guess it's a loaded question, because
it is a loaded question, because I mean, I can give you my opinion. And my opinion is that even humans go through a lot of suffering in their life. A lot of it is emotional. It is self-induced. A lot of it is physical, because we're victims of other humans or victims of phenomena like weather, like what's going on in the Carolinas right now. It's this is this is a character build. It does strengthen the spirit. It is a character build. Now, in the context of a suffering dog that's suffering at the hands of humans, the exchange of information would be like almost a judgment against the humans that brought that suffering. But the soul within the canine itself is going to move on and maybe be in a human avatar next, and maybe because when it comes to judgment, where we're dealing with an oversoul that's going to be looking from multiple different vantage points. I can imagine that when I make my exodus from this construct, I'm going to be able to see back into the field once I'm not a part of this avatar and my vision is clear. I'm going to be able to see when I was a Etruscan seamstress, when I was a Roman orator, when I was a lion chained in a coliseum forced to eat Christians. I'm going to be able to see every incarnation and avatar that I lived in, and I'm going to be able to see a chain of incidents. Meaning, the oversoul's not going to have. There's no mystery outside; it's on the inside. Which means that I'm going to be able to look back and see all these and know why I was Jason, and why Jason spent 26 years in prison, and why Jason became who he was. I'm going to know who I was before that and who I'm going to be in the future. I'm going to understand why I was put into the avatar of an elephant, and I wasn't even the leader of that colony of elephants. I forgot what they call it. They got a special name for elephants. But at one time, I may have been a monkey. I would have been all kinds of different mammals and experienced the construct from different ways and experienced different social structures. And maybe I was even a dog. Maybe I spent 3 avatars in a human form going to war in different deals. And my spirit, the exchange of information became so toxic that all of a sudden the oversoul put me into the avatar of a dog. And I was chained, and I had an abusive master, and I got to take some of my own medicine for a while before I moved on, and I was re-given a new avatar. This is all speculation, but in the transmigration of souls, I don't see much differences in the family of mammals. We're all the same. Humans don't seem to be independent of the rest of the mammal. All the different types of mammals. We seem to be the summation of them, having assimilated or borrowed from all the best parts of all of them to be who we are now. And I also follow the research of others who have shown very interesting proofs that the reason the animals either resonate with us or they don't attack us in the wild, or it's almost every species of animal can literally perceive in the pheromones some parts of themselves in the human avatar. So I don't know. These are good questions, but they're far beyond the ability for me to assert with confidence.
Right. I understand.
Girl, you got a list of questions there, don't you?
It's just been on my heart for a long time, and it was interesting to hear you say that about the ocean, because I've often sat on a beach just staring out at the ocean after listening to your teachings and wondering if there is a world under there going on, or if it's only when I'm in it, like when I go scuba diving.
You already know my opinion. Yeah, this construct is subject to everything that's in the field, which is subject to the law of diminishing return, the law of conservation of energy. It is subject to entropy, and because these things are real and measurable, then we have to apply them to the whole. And if we apply them to the whole, then we're going to see that a lot of what we experience is only because we're jacked into the central nervous system, and the central nervous system gives us these senses, but the senses don't go far. We can't see very far. We can't smell far. There's a lot of words very restrictive. So it's very easy in the program, like a Star Trek holodeck. It's very easy to provide us a very, very convincing world, but it's just our world. It's not the world. It's not the entire construct. We can only experience a small piece of it at a time. So it would be very, very easy to fool us, especially if our avatar, which I believe our avatar itself, that body you have right there, Candice, doesn't even belong to you. It's a part of the field itself. Therefore, the immortal soul that is jacked into that avatar has a very hard time separating the fact that the body is a part of the field and not a part of the self. Because it feels like it's yourself. But that's because the central nervous system is doing its job. It makes you feel physical. It makes you feel all these signal ratios out in the field actually translate to olfactory senses and audible senses and visual, optical senses and touch. And it's amazing, this deceptive medium. But if it's self-deceptive, then that means it's all deceptive. So I'm going to say that Dolphin did not exist until you, as an immortal, express that desire.
So interesting. Well, I know that we are creators, and that's where, I try to keep my emotions in check, but I need to be a lot better with it, especially being in dog rescue and seeing what I'm seeing, because as I mentioned earlier, I've lost a lot of faith in humanity. And I choose to be around animals more than I will always choose animals over humans. And I've just gotten to this point where I'm so disappointed in people.
I get it. People are shit. People are shit. There's no doubt. It's let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. There are other personalities like on YouTube like me, people who are, that have their own communities going, and they're like me too. None of us have millions of views. There's a lot of people tuning into us. There's very real communities. Some of us network, but then you have channels that are absolutely soulless. Soulless channels. They got 2.5 million subscribers. And when you go and you read the comment sections, you see nothing but pure intellectual vacuity. You go through the comment section like, wow, it's not like a comment section in Archaix. It's not like a comment section on Martin's channel, where you see this genuine exchange of information and appreciation for guests and observations and comments. You go to some of these, it's almost as if we really are in a smaller world than we've been told we're in. I don't believe there's 8 billion people here. I just don't. You can't convince me of that. I just can't see it. But online they can perpetuate that deal. There could be whole high-rise buildings in several cities that several floors are nothing but servers that contain 2, 3, or 4 billion fake accounts. And those fake accounts have fake insurance records, fake police records, fake marriages, fake friendships, fake families, all networked together. And there's no way to prove that they're fake because they're so enmeshed with other fake accounts, and they're all giving evidence that they're real. It could have been this deception is digital. Even you and I are exchanging information right now in the digital universe, not the real world. This is where we have this. That's why I'm not worried about not having 2 million subs. Who cares? I may be at my peak, 170 something thousand subs, maybe amazingly amount compared to how many souls are really out there in the field. So yeah, because it's a yeah, I just don't think there's that many people here. And when I walk through Walmart, I have had some really unusual experiences when I'm in that flow state. I'm not in that flow state every day. I mean, hell, I've even written software that isolates people's flow state days, when the exact days you should be doing things when nature is moving with you. So I've had this. This has come by way of observation and arithmetic over decades of my life. And I realize it's very real. There are days when I'm in my flow state and it's like, wow, I would see somebody, and I'll never forget. I talked about it on YouTube like 2 years ago. I was in a Walmart and I saw this girl. I know this girl. And I also was engaged in a conversation with a guy, and I feel that he needed to hear some things I had to say. And I wanted to get back to him. I think he was a soul struggling. And we're making small talk, but the small talk got deep real fast. And as I'm talking to him, I'm just casually look around, and I see a girl I know that I've been trying to catch up with for a long time. And it's like 2.5 years ago. And she walked down an aisle. Man, I was gone. I said, man, I'll be right back. Let's continue this conversation. I went straight to that aisle, looked down. She was gone. I ran in Walmart, looked to the left and right, searched the other aisles. That girl wasn't either. And then I stopped and I realized what was going on. I said, shit, I need to go find that dude. That girl was never in Walmart. I need to go find that guy. So I went back and tried to find the guy. He was checking out and he was already leaving. I was like, man, AIX got me. And it's not the first time. I also had another incident. I had another incident that my community saw because I was doing a van vlog, and in the camera, I saw a skinny black guy carrying a bag in the middle of nowhere, hot as hell on Interstate 59 in Texas, East Texas. There's nothing out there. There's no reason this guy should be walking like that, and I felt bad because I was going like 80 miles an hour and I already passed him up and I had traffic behind me. And I even said it in the video. Damn, man. This dude way out there in the heat like that, man. I felt bad about not pulling over and picking him up. I continue with the dialogue of my video. And I was shocked. People saw it on my face. And then other people looked in the video and saw in my rearview mirror that yes, I did pass him again. The exact same guy was like 20 miles north of where I saw him. It's recorded on my channel. So I'm like, what the hell? I almost crashed. Like, I just saw that guy. I just saw the same guy. And it's almost as if the construct threw him out there and I was supposed to pick you up. And then when I just kept on going, the construct was not aware that I had seen him. So it put him somewhere else. But I did see him. And my reverse mount camera had picked him up both times. So little incidents like that in life are just more evidence to me that we live in a programmed construct.
Well, I have an interesting story. Where you can see all the NPCs and that we're really in a simulation is Las Vegas. I had to go there for my birthday. I was brought. I'll just say I don't like leaving the house very much. I want to be here with my dogs and I want to go save dogs. But as much as I can be home, I am. But I do have to be on a social level with some of our friends. And they took me to Vegas for my birthday. And we got tickets to the new Sphere. Have you heard of the Sphere?
I heard of it, yes. It's the one that blinks real fast, all those subliminal messages.
Yes, so it was the opening week and U2 was playing there. And so I'm not a fan of, I know who signed the contract, who's involved, all that. I don't love, but I also don't share my beliefs. People know what I believe, but I just don't get into it too much because I don't. I just have enough on the plate with the dogs. I'm not trying to argue or get into anything. So I just went about my way and went to them with this concert. And I thought, okay, let's check it out. Let's check out the Sphere. Let's see what it's about. It's U2, whatever. We're going to a concert. They showed in this, and I had been listening to you probably for about maybe just under 6 months, but I walked away for a while because I was having a hard time with your message. So maybe it was like 4 months, and then I came back, drew me back. But they showed in this concert that we're in a simulation. So, and I freaked out. At first I thought it was cool because it looked like we were inside a slot machine. And then there was really cool stuff going on. But then he put in the best seats are halfway up because it's a sphere. It's not in front of the stage. So you're looking down at the stage. And I started recording because I saw words coming across the back that looked interesting. And I recorded not to record them, but to slow down the recording. And it was watch more TV, autopsy, trafficking, like really dark words. But then he put zeros and ones all around everywhere. And they dropped the ceiling over us, all around us, like we were inside a computer program. It was all zeros and ones. Then he showed the Vegas Strip right in front of us, like I was walking on the sidewalk. I mean, I was on this strip. Then he raised the sun in the mountains, like I was here in Phoenix, flew a helicopter over our heads. I mean, it was like I was sitting right here and having it happen. I was like, oh my God, my life is a lie. It was not more real to me that we were in a simulation. That U2 concert, I actually said, I'm like, we need to leave. He started doing some weird stuff and had the crowd chant and I'm like, I gotta go. At that point, I had to get out because I started seeing some demonic stuff starting to take place, and everyone's cheering and participating in it. And I am seeing all this yuck, and I had to get out and kind of put a damper on the evening. But then we're walking through the casino, and people are there was like a concert that let out or something, and people just walk into us and just keep walking away. And they were just like little, it was the weirdest thing. And we're tall, like I'm tall. And people would just walk into me and just like little pop, pop, and like go like their little way. And they were everywhere. Everywhere. It
Absolutely.
was the craziest thing I've ever experienced.
Candice, the exact same programming that can make you feel an insect crawling on your hand, the exact same program that can make you feel pain when you stub your toe on a table, is the same programming that can put NPCs all around you, and when they brush up against you, they feel physical. It's the same programming. So when your avatar actually belongs to the construct can manipulate it in any way. And the only way you can ever truly disengage with the construct and see it for what it is intellectually. That's the only way to do it. It's only by thinking. It's not by anything we can physically do, because we're physically immersed in a medium that is designed to make us believe that we're in a physical world. So it is through intellectual exercises that we come to these conclusions. When we really think out all the experiences that we're having, they don't make sense. So we come to the conclusion, wow, this is a construct. It doesn't make it any less real. It doesn't make it any less valuable to us, because we're immortal beings. And in order for us to feel pain, in order for us to be restricted, it is the restrictions and how we deal with them that builds character. Like the story of the prodigal son. If both sons would have just stayed with the father, they would have always eaten. They would have always been clothed. They would have always been safe. They would always been sheltered. But one decided to do what he wanted to do, and he spent all the money. And he left. He went whoring. He went gambling. He got beat up. People took his stuff. He saw the world for what it was. And he made executive decisions to become a better person. And he sucked it up. And instead of maintaining that pride, he humbled himself, came back to the father, not knowing if he was going to get punished or what. But when he came back to the father, he was given a reward, a ring. And he was given a robe, a garment, and he was given a return party, a banquet. And that son was favored by the father, because that son is the one that went through went through the construct and gained from it because it was a total character build. And I'm telling you right now, that's who you are. That's who everybody listening to me are. That's who I am. We are the prodigal son. We're the prodigal daughters. And we actively chose to go through the fire. That's what I believe. 100%. Don't cry on me, girl. No crying on Archaix.
I already did. I did earlier. Hopefully hit it.
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
It's emotional. I mean, it's tough.
It is.
It's not like anything I've been down some dark roads in my life. I will say, I have a lot of yuck in my past, as many of us do, and this does not compare to any. I mean, it's the hardest thing I've ever dealt with.
I get it. Well, I mean, I can take this whole scenario and transpose it to what we're experiencing right now to provide even a deeper illustration. First of all, in many of my earlier presentations, I was explaining to people that in a programmed construct of mathematical protocols, when something is drawing to a close before a total systemic reset, there's going to be an unraveling of programs and arithmetic that's not working. But from those on the inside of the construct, that's going to be translated as very anomalous, weird, and unusual things. What do you think's happening right now? Do you really believe that this political farce is real? That these politicians are real? That all these things Biden has done, falling downstairs, saying dumb shit, all these weird things that you see in politics every single day for the past 4 years, we have been bombarded with things that 20 years ago we would have swore would have never been broadcast. Silly things people said. We know these are not leaders. We're looking at clowns. It's clowns running every country in the world. It is absolutely, it's almost as if there's an admission of systemic failure everywhere, and yet the system is still self-perpetuating. It's still continuing. And everybody feels like they're in a holding pattern, like, what the hell? When are these people going to get their comeuppance? But the problem is we have no real evidence that any of these personalities exist. We're living in a perceived reality, and it's pulling on our psychological cords. It's making us angry because anger and agitation and frustration are the best ways for the construct to reel you in to a feedback loop called dungeon programming. And dungeon programming comes in many, many different facets. It comes with many, many, many different disguises. So what I'm saying to you by saying all that is that you can actually armor yourself by understanding that much of the darkness in the world is a stage play. It's not even real. It's here for you to pass through. It's here to see what you're going to do with these variables. Here are the variables given to Candice.
I'm failing miserably then.
Okay, well, no, you're
I'm angry.
Well, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree. You can't be failing miserably because you just told me earlier that you're going to go back and continue this activity of saving animals. Okay, that's all good. You need to continue. If that's what's on your heart, you need to continue to do that, because I believe in the biofeedback. I believe in the spiritual feedback, and I believe that you're going to reap great reward. But I equally believe that when this experience is over, you're going to look back as an immortal, and you're going to have options to go do similar experiences, others, totally different worlds, totally different setups, totally different dynamics. But this world here was an MFer. We chose an MFer right here in this construct. But once you make your exodus, I believe you're going to look back and realize, I can't believe how real that was. And you're going to realize it was all programming. Your immortal soul was actually jacked into a very, very spiritual, sophisticated programming that made all this believable. And all the other souls that were in the flow with you through the programming also thought it was real. And then once you make your exodus, you do exodus with real real stuff. And that real stuff is the character development and spiritual empowerment and the experiences and everything that you will take with you beyond this experience. It's almost as if the oversoul has found a way for immortals to grow and experience all the things that true immortals would never be able to do in their own world. They wouldn't, because they're immortal. They're immortal. There's no way they could. But this is an excellent way through these constructs to do this. Like I said, it's all theoretical, but all my research data sets point to this conclusion. So
that's helpful. Very enlightening.
Yeah, I just think that's who we are. That's who we are, and it doesn't mean stop. It's actually a reason to continue doing what you're doing. And I'm curious to know if you like. I know a woman in Texas. She in Montgomery, Texas, about 30 minutes from here. She has a dog rescue. I met her about 3 years ago, and she has like 400 dogs because they've got like 60 or 70 acres. Wow. And she can't put the dogs down. She can't even allow it. So people all over Montgomery County and Walker County, they bring her dogs they find in strays, and she fixes them up. She takes care of them and all, and then she puts them with the dogs that will accept, because she literally has hundreds of dogs roaming on this fenced-in property. They're free. Their world is huge, and twice a day she has this truck come in and feed them. It's a lot of.
That's great. That's great.
This is what she does. I was wondering if is there a network in place, or could you be the one that started some type of network to see what all the other dog rescues are doing? I'm not talking the municipalities. Screw the municipalities. They got too many rules, and I'm talking about the individuals like you that are apart from the municipalities. Maybe do y'all have some type of network in place?
Yeah, so we are all connected. We know who each other are, and what my foundation does specifically is. So a lot of people don't realize that the dogs in the shelters, most of them that get out, they are coming out through the rescue foundations. And the rescue foundations submit what's called a pull sheet, and it's called pulling a dog. So adopting is not the highest percentage rate. You would think it is, the general public coming in, but it's mostly the rescues. But the rescues are all overwhelmed. They're all, they need help, and they need as much help as they can get. And also for medical, because there's a lot of dogs that they find on the side of the road, or just need a spay neuter, or they're, a lot of these dogs that come out of the shelter, some of the rescues focus specifically on medical, like Ginny, the dog that I only had for a day and we had to put down. She was too sick. Well, there's vet bills. So the rescues do have contracts with some of the vets where it's discounted. But what my foundation does, so I bring awareness to the problem through multiple projects that we have going on to bring awareness to the overpopulation crisis and being a voice for the voiceless. But we support the rescue foundations. So what my foundation does is they submit, so I get cases every day. My rescue partner and I get cases every single day from other rescue foundations asking for help, basically saying, so we just got this dog, this is what happened, needs this surgery, this is the bill, can you help? And so we support grants for the medical. And then we also have Project Get Out. So Diamond and Daisy Project works specifically with Project Get Out, which is any dog that's been in the shelter over 21 days. If a rescue foundation, because we're incentivizing them to pull the long timers. So, and there's dogs that are there 7-8 months, but they're anything over 21 days, they will get a grant from us, and we will help support, and that money follows the dog. So if that dog needs medical care, if that dog needs to be boarded for a week just to save from not being euthanized the next day, if that dog, needs to have, whatever it needs, that money follows the dog into the home eventually. So, and then we help support those rescues, because they won't pull dogs if they don't have the funds, and they're all depleted right now. So that's a big part of Project Get Out, is a big part of Diamond and Daisy Project. And Diamond and Daisy Project is named after my Diamond and Daisy, who were both on the euthanasia list and saved at the last minute. And Daisy I got from here in Phoenix, and Diamond I got from Chicago. And Daisy came down to the last minute. I mean, they were banging on the door, trying to get her, saying, don't kill her. And sometimes it does quite a bit come down to that last second, and it's crazy.
Right. Would you like to answer that question on the screen?
What's that? Oh, Archaix, can we ask what her sign is? Oh, my astrological sign?
I guess so.
Scorpio.
Okay, Scorpio. I don't know much about it. I've had 3 astrologers on my channel, and they all did readings on me, and I just don't know much about astrology.
Yeah.
Under different systems, I'm different stuff, I guess. It's all very intriguing, and yeah, they nailed it. But
it does seem to fit me, but I haven't looked at the other signs. I know that it says that Scorpio is intense and extremely loyal, but you don't want to cross us.
Yeah,
it's pretty true. It's pretty spot on.
Wow, that's crazy. So, what do you have video or pictures you want to share, or do you want to direct us to a link where people can go see those?
I do. I had some technical difficulties, and unfortunately wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be. I have some footage that I can show you, and also on my Instagram channel. I have a Facebook, but I'm not very active on it, and I just recently started it. I have an Instagram. It's Diamond and Daisy Project, and I do put a lot of the highlights, my stories. I put a lot in the stories of things that are going on at the shelter, and then my highlights are some of my foster dogs and their stories. And I just kind of bring awareness through there. But yeah, I will. Let me look here for just a minute. So.
Can I get a moderator to put her Instagram in the live chat so it'll be there forever? Put it in the live chat, please. It's already in the description box. Moderators already put your Facebook channel on there, but you just said you're more active on Instagram.
Well, I just started the Facebook, so I just need to. I'll be loading it more as I go. My Instagram has a lot more. So yeah. Let's see.
Oh, we got some other Scorpios in there. Lacey Z's a Scorpio too.
So this is let me just show this guy. I don't know if you can.
I am not okay.
I'll just kind of preface this a little bit. This is one of the dogs that I loved. His name was Ernesto. He was 9 years old. He was dumped by his family, and he was just so shut down. But he didn't make it out. We tried to find a foster, and we found that people, a lot of people are not privy to getting seniors. Diamond and Daisy I got as seniors. Daisy I got at 9 years old, and she's now 11. And I love the seniors, although the one I just got last week is 1. He's 1 year old, but he's super chill. So let me show you the one I just got last week. So here, this is him when I spotted him in his kennel.
Good morning.
Oops. Oh, that's the first day he's here with me.
Good morning, sweet baby.
I brought him in his food. So I'm trying to find the picture here that I spotted him at the shelter and how shut down he was. His notes said that he was just terrified and shaking and completely shut down. Can't find that one.
That's terrible.
But here, he wouldn't come into my house. I think that he's also severely abused. He cowers at everything. We were walking just around the block the other day, and he saw my shadow and just pancaked and cowered down to the ground. And this is a video of him where he wouldn't come in my house, and I was trying to get him to come in the house. Let's see here. Oh, here. Says it's playing picture in picture.
Let's go. Come on,
found it.
Come on, sweet boy. Here, it's okay. Bowie. Oh, Bowie, babies.
He would come in. Let's see. Sorry, I need to.
Yeah, this
is Celeste. She didn't make it out either. This is a really sad one here.
So none of these dogs are alive anymore?
No, that the one that I showed you, the 9-year-old, he's not, and this
go.
girl isn't.
Come on, boy.
I
Come
don't.
on, sweet boy.
How do I
It's
X
okay.
out of?
Bowie. Oh, Bowie, babies. Come on, let's go. Come on, boy.
I keep clicking to
Come on,
play the
sweet boy.
next one, and
Here,
it's.
it's okay. Bowie, let's go. Come on, boy. Come on.
I'm gonna see. Hey, yeah, you're gonna have to remove those from on your end.
Oh, I see how to do. Okay, now so this
Yeah,
is.
because if I remove it, it removes you too.
Oh, okay.
When
So this is
the
Celeste.
rain is blowing in your face
Can you stop the music? Because I'm gonna get a
and
copyright
the
on that.
whole world is
Your what?
Yeah, if you play the music, they're gonna copyright me on that.
Oh, I don't know how to. Do I just click the so it doesn't play the?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, got it. So this little girl, yeah, she came in, you could tell she had puppies. They must have taken her puppies from her. She was just shut down, terrified. When they stand in the back like that, they're terrified. I'm learning that the fear dogs are the best because you get them out and they just come so much out of their shell. And they just absolutely are so grateful. You just, some good food and some good loving and they earn your trust pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're in a predator versus prey environment, and the dogs understand. They're programmed for the visceral, so to act on instinct. So if you're feeding the dog and taking care of it, then it automatically knows that it's not dinner and it's going to be okay. You know, I mean, a lot of animals are probably wondering if you're going to eat them. This is.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's terrible, but that would be their perennial fear when they first meet a new human.
So this guy, this is what you call kennel stress. So a lot of the dogs that hit the euthanasia list, it's because they're going cage crazy, and this is also so heartbreaking. But this is a perfect example of going crazy in the kennel. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, and
the dog wants out.
Yeah, and there's 1,000 dogs there. I mean, but that's just Phoenix, and that's not even the biggest problem. I mean, we've got problems on the reservation. We've got problems like up in Pine Top and Sholo. I mean, they're just shooting dogs. They don't have the ability to use the euthanasia list. They don't have the manpower for that, so they just shoot the dogs. It's so overwhelming. But yeah, I mean, you guys get it. Go to your local shelter. That's all I have to say. Go to your local shelter and connect with those dogs. And, I used to judge the dogs that I used to see all the, oh, well, that dog can't hold it because there's poop in the kennel. Well, when you have 1,000 dogs, they're not getting out every day. They're not even getting out every week. They're getting out once every few weeks. And so even bringing this dog home, I was surprised that he would hold it for so long, and he won't go to. He's totally potty trained, and my dogs I've been blessed that they're potty trained. But if they're not, I'm not mad at them because they're easily teachable. They've just been going for so long in the shelter, so that I praise them like crazy when they go outside, and I try to not be too stern with them if they do go inside. But the one dog I had that went inside, we corrected that so quickly because they realized they're not in the shelter anymore, and they don't have to do that. But I was judgy of dogs that were also like barking and acting crazy. And then you get them out, you get them to the play lot, and they just like put their head down on you. They're literally begging you to get them out. Like they're acting a fool, but they're just trying to say, hey, help me out here, get me out. And you get them home and they're amazing. I
agree because their communication ability is limited. So you have to pay attention more to what a dog does to understand what it's thinking. I do. So yeah, I totally get that.
Well, a lot of them will come up on the grates and just lean in because they don't get interaction, and they want love, and they want to be petted, and they want love. So they lean up on the gate grates, and you can just get in there and pet them a little bit. And those are the ones that are just like so starved that they're just like begging you to touch them. And that's, you can always find a really good dog by doing that, seeing that also. If they're leaning up against the grates and begging you to touch them, be careful, because when you rescue a dog like that, they're super needy. You've got a shadow for life.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've seen that. I've got a very, very loyal Rottweiler. My Rottweiler is monstrously huge. It's
Really?
huge. My head's twice my size, huge head. But
Yeah.
when people don't know Tank, he's terrifying because he's just huge, and his weight looks good when he stands up and looks at you. You come to the gate, and he'll growl too at strangers, but actually, as soon as you pet him, all that's neutralized. It's over with. Say, oh, you're all right. He's a terrible guard dog. But
I have a newfound love for the Rotties also since I had the bonded pair. I mean, they're another dog that's super judged and people are afraid of. And
Rottweiler's terrible. Listen, I got a sad story for you too. Yeah, I got a sad story for you too. This Rottweiler I have, Tank, his first 4.5, 5 years alive, he was chained on a 10-foot chain with a spike in the ground, and he lived inside of an igloo. And the guy came out and just poured dog food in a big bowl right in front of him, and had a spigot right there where he filled up an aluminum bowl and left him there all day long. And then came back.
I think that's quality of life.
Listen. The dog do nothing but what could only look up this country road. That's all the dog could ever do is look up this country road. He had no. So the guy left. I'm not exaggerating. The guy left, poured a whole bag of dog food on the ground, filled up the water bowl, packed his stuff, and I've never seen him again. He's gone. So.
People do that a lot here. They leave the dogs in the yards. Two of my foster dogs over the last few months were left behind in an apartment. I don't know how. I mean, I'm not an advocate for giving up your dog, but bring your dog to the shelter before you leave it in an apartment to starve and be alone. I mean,
I gave Tank a home, and I brought him to my property, and I'm up the street and across the street a ways, but I had to put him on a chain as well, because I don't have a fence back then. So I kept him on a chain for about a good 2 months, but he loved it. He had plenty of fruit. He had a lot of room to move around, and my property's pretty long, so I was able to put him on a chain in different areas, and he just loved it. And then within 2 months of getting him, I went ahead and invested in a fence, and now he's got free roam of the whole property. But he literally lived on a 10-foot chain for the first 5 years of his life, and now he's an awesome dog.
Yeah, I bet he loves it. They're very resilient. I know that. And they're very grateful. So I always say humans can learn a lot from them.
Yeah. I've got 3 other dogs, but they don't really mess with Tank like Bella does. Bella is 3/4 pit and 1/4 red heeler. And she's like in a world of her own. She doesn't even know she's a dog. Let a squirrel run down the fence and Bella's on top of, literally jumps to the top of the fence like a cat and balances herself. Imagine a pit bull jumping a 6-foot picket fence and just staring at you like a cat. This is what my dog does. Everybody has seen it. It's shocking. She's like a deer. She's like a hart. So she's the only one that messes with Tank. She runs circles around Tank, nips at his hindquarters, tries to get him up moving around. Yeah, she's a bundle of energy.
Well, I looked over at your chat a couple times, and a lot of your community is saying that they have rescue dogs. So I want to thank everyone for.
Yeah, man, I got an awesome community.
Fosters are needed.
No NPCs here.
I really want to foster fail with this dog that I have right now, but he's amazing, but I keep telling myself if I foster fail and keep him, then I can't bring any more in. 2 is really the max, but he's such a great dog, but it's so hard on the heart every time I have to give them up. And I wanted to keep every one of them, but then when the next one comes, I'm glad I didn't keep the last one. But he's also really attached to me just because I literally saved him from the shelter. He wasn't walking or eating, and then he came here and he got good food and good love and lots of attention, and my other dogs are helping him. So anyone that does adopt him, there's going to have to be a slow integration. I can't just
so you do have you did provide me your email to put in the description box, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
website. my Instagram.
I need to be clear. Would you like people who are interested in adopting a dog to contact you by that email?
Sure, that'd be great. I mean, I know. Well, everyone's not in Texas. They're all over. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, they're all over. I have many,
Texas is really bad.
yeah. I got a lot of people in Arizona. There's people in Phoenix. There's people in Phoenix who listen to Archaix.
And we need fosters too. I mean, it's not if you can just foster. I mean, we're always begging for fosters because the dogs that are on the euthanasia list, and right now our euthanasia list. This is the other thing that's really crazy, and I had pictures of it, but Maricopa County Shelter is a no-kill shelter on their website. They're a no-kill shelter, but we fight every day to save the dogs that are on the euthanasia list. So it's manipulation. It's a perfect picture of your government manipulation and lying, because they keep the rate under a certain amount of killing. But we have 100 dogs on the portal right now. And I mean, we're losing so many per day. But we're always looking for fosters. So if you can foster a medical dog that maybe just needs a safe place to heal, or if you can foster just a perfect dog that's on the euthanasia list because he looked at the director wrong and he made the euthanasia list. But there's always a need for fosters. I do say that fostering can be anywhere from 1 week to a year. So you kind of have to be open. But if you have a time frame that you can do it, like 3 months or a month, or, we can always find something. But we really just need safe, loving homes with, people that are patient. We call it the decompression, the 3-3-3 rule. A lot of dogs are returned after adopted because they don't give them the proper decompression. So imagine you're in the shelter for 3 months or 6 months or however long you're there. Their hearing is so much more, they hear is stronger than ours. And so they hear barking around the clock. So they're not really sleeping. They're in this, environment where it's constant anxiety for them with the barking around the clock. So when they get to a home, they just want to sleep. And people make the mistake all the time of going, this is my child and this is my dog, and integrate. And they don't give the dog the proper decompression time. So we call it the 3-3-3 rule. Put the dog somewhere, just let them sleep, give them 3 days to just decompress. And then it takes them 3 weeks to learn your schedule and learn your routine. And it takes them 3 months to fully trust you. So it's the 3-3-3 rule, but unfortunately our return rate, and I think it's pretty much nationwide, is like 50% people bring dogs back. And unfortunately, a lot of the dogs get killed that get returned. So we stress all the time, if you're going to adopt a dog, please decompress properly. Not all of them need it. I mean, Daisy didn't need it. Bowie, the one that I have, he's great with my dogs. He's super sweet. But I still kept him in there for 3 days just for him to learn that he was safe and keep him away. The dog Ginny that I had here, that I had to, that was only here for a day, that we had to put down, she spotted my dogs and went into stress mode. I brought my dogs in just to sleep that night. She was in a crate in my room and being fed, and she couldn't walk. So we had her in a wagon. And but once she saw them, she freaked out because she had been overbred so much that she thought they were there to, basically rape her. Sorry, but it's the truth. And she was so stressed out. So, I mean, proper decompression is always, and a slow intro, introducing dogs in a neutral ground area and letting it happen slowly. But people don't listen.
Yeah. So this has been an awesome discussion. And I'm going to invite you to close it. Whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be Archaix related, dog related, whatever. This is your time right now. I know that before 24 hours, a whole lot of people will have seen this video, and the few that have seen it now are not even comparable to how many people will eventually watch this video. So,
well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on. It's been an honor. I absolutely love your channel and love your teachings, and it's been very enlightening for me. I am so grateful that you've shed some light on how I can navigate these waters. I'm really grateful to the people who are rescuing and adopting, but to the people who may have bought a dog, also always keep that dog and love that dog, because if you give them up, they're going to end up in my care or someone in rescue. So even if you've bought a dog, just please provide a good home until the day that they decide to leave. And I am just navigating these waters and trying to bring the best light that I can. And I ask that everyone else will do the same. If everyone can just spread the word, if you can't foster and you can't adopt, you can talk to people about it. If you learn today about the nationwide crisis we're in, I talk to everyone. I ask my bartender, my waitress, wherever we're out to eat, I'm like, do you have a dog? And if they say yes, I ask what kind, and if they, if they got them from a breeder or they rescued, and I always ask, would you be open to rescuing next time, because we are in a crisis, we're drowning in dogs. I explain what's going on. People are really grateful to hear it. A lot of our friends and people here when I moved here that had dogs from breeders, they did not know the problem that was going on. They didn't know how bad it was at the shelters, and I've educated them, and they all have decided to move forward and rescue, and many have. People didn't know about fostering, so I talk to people about all of it. So I always say, if you can foster, adopt, volunteer, every shelter needs volunteers. Just bring awareness. Donations are always needed. I mean, it's a big one too. So, but I'm really grateful, and I love your community, and it's restored some of my faith in humanity.
Well, it's awesome. And if there, I mean, Archaix has a lot of benefactors. If there's anybody out there and it's on your heart to help donate to that, her email is down there in the description box, and she can direct you on how to do that activity. But it's
100% of it goes to the dogs. All of it goes to the dogs. That's why I still work full time. I could never take anything away from the dogs. And I look at some of these societies we were talking about earlier, like ASPCS and Humane, and they have.
Yeah, I can't stand those commercials, because I know what they're doing.
When
you find out that the director, yeah, it's crazy. I was talking about that with her before the video started. You guys have seen those commercials where they're trying to get you to donate and they show the sad music, and they're showing these terrible pictures of all these abused dogs, and it's the exact same narrator, it's the exact same set formula, and it's the exact same producers as those that are showing Holocaust victims and showing you all the people that are still starving from World War II. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And those aren't the people doing the real work. Just like,
I don't know if you can see Diamond here. This is my girl. She is 13, and she was given a 30 to 90 day diagnosis 2 years ago. So we're going on 2 years.
Wow.
And she's part of, this is Diamond of the Diamond and Daisy Project.
It's a beautiful dog. Beautiful dog.
Thank you. There you go,
beautiful dog.
Thanks.
Yeah, those commercials will make you cry.
Thank you.
All right, Candice. Well, it's been great. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this outro, and we'll be done with this video. And I want anybody in my community, man, that finds it on their heart to help out with that go check out her Instagram. She's got a lot of footage on there, a lot of materials. Check out. It's almost all dog rescue. The links are in the description box, and her email's there too for those who want to contact her about anything that we discussed today. And it's been a great show. It's been a huge pattern break for Archaix. This is the very first show that we've ever done like this. I really don't even want to call it a show. It's really just a genuine chat about something that's important to a lot of us, our pets.
And I have on my website for diamondanddaisyproject.com, you can sign up on the newsletter, because I'm going to be starting health and wellness, like a wellness, where I'm sending out information to people that would like it on how to keep your dogs healthy.
Oh, yeah, health and wellness for canines. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guard community. I'm gonna hit that outro, and you got the links in the description box. And this is Candice Elise in Phoenix, Arizona, and she's on the front line, guys. She's on the front line with those dogs.
Thank you. Bye.